Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you have ever spent more than, let's say, 5 minutes with a toddler, you already know that their world is just pure, unfiltered chaos, right? Well, today we're taking a completely fresh look at something you might have previously dismissed as just mere background noise to all that chaos. We are analyzing a collection of early childhood nursery rhymes, specifically a whole series of songs addressing everything from getting hurt to riding in a car. But we're not going to look at them as simple, catchy little melodies. No way. Instead, we're deconstructing this source material as a fascinating, highly structured sociological survival guide that's literally designed to help early learners navigate their wild new reality. It's essentially a behavioral blueprint hiding right in plain sight.
So let's dive right into this. We are going to analytically break down this chaotic medley of songs into distinct, vital behavioral themes. First up, coping with bumps and bruises. Then, recovering from feeling low. Number 3, the complexities of sharing. 4, navigating the everyday world. And finally, number 5, the ultimate preschool takeaway. All right, section 1, coping with bumps and bruises. Physical resilience in the backyard. Let's kick things off with the very first major developmental hurdle presented in our source material, and that is the absolute inevitability of physical injury. When you're a toddler, the world is a dangerous place, and learning physical resilience is really step 1 in this survival guide. Notice the remarkably consistent pattern of hazard and reassurance we see in the text. The lyrics outline a very clear catalog of dangers: riding a bicycle, playing in the backyard, stumbling, tripping. Standard toddler stuff. But here's the fascinating part. No matter the cause of the injury, the universal caregiver response is completely standardized. Every single time, the lyrics repeat, "Don't worry, I will help you," promising to make you feel okay and make the pain go away. The caregiver acts as the ultimate, unfailing safety net for any physical pain.
And this brings us to an absolutely critical step in the process. The child must vocalize the trauma. They explicitly declare, "Mommy, I have got a boo-boo." The text puts a huge emphasis on validating the child's distress first. They literally have to identify the hurt before the caregiver delivers that standardized solution for pain relief. It's an incredibly efficient, closed-loop system of recognizing pain and immediately finding security.
Moving on to section 2, recovering from feeling low, the protocol for early childhood illness. Let's see how this builds into the second major early life crisis explored in the text, and that's the mysterious, exhausting, and completely confusing experience of getting sick, or as the source calls it, feeling low. Now, unlike a sudden scrape on the knee, an illness is an ongoing state, right? So the source provides a very specific, stripped 4-step sequence of care. Step 1, it starts with identifying the symptoms, a red nose and sniffles. Step 2 is the intervention. It's time to take medicine. Step 3 is the absolutely crucial recovery phase of needing to sleep. And finally, Step 4 brings the resolution, looking better now, happy and healthy. It brilliantly shows how a structured routine leads directly from total misery right back to a baseline of health.
The material also places a heavy emphasis on recognizing these physical symptoms, explicitly pointing out that the baby looks very tired and telling them, "Don't you cry." By repeatedly vocalizing these physical states like tiredness, crying, having a red nose, the text is actively teaching toddlers how to identify and label when they are actually feeling low. It literally gives them the vocabulary to articulate their own physical exhaustion.
All right, section 3, the complexities of sharing, resource conflict, and diplomacy. Now we transition into the longest, most complex, and honestly, arguably the most important theme of this explainer, the intense sociological battlefield of sharing resources. Because in early childhood, property rights are absolutely everything. If you've ever tried to negotiate with a 3-year-old, you know exactly what this looks like. We have the raw, totally self-centered toddler instinct pitted directly against the idealized, cooperative outcome that the material repeatedly models for the listener. At first, the lyrics are filled with these fierce declarations like, "It's mine today," or instances of kids pushing and shoving on a swing, arguing with frowns and sighs. But then, the narrative forcefully shifts the dialogue from "it's mine" to "it's ours." It just hammers home the overarching message that sharing brings joy. But to actually achieve that joy, the characters utilize an exact, repetitive diplomatic loop. It's basically a high-stakes negotiation tactic broken down into actionable steps. Step 1, the requester says, "Please." Step 2, the possessor offers a smile or a grin. Step 3, permission is officially granted with, "You can use it now." And Step 4, the ultimate resolution where we share and play. It is a perfectly choreographed dance of toddler diplomacy,
masterfully designed to acquire a desired object without having to resort to conflict.
And let me tell you, they absolutely need these diplomacy skills because the sheer volume of contested resources is staggering. These highly prized toddler assets, we're talking a toy plane, a playground slide, a toy car, a swing, a ball, a lollipop, a bicycle, bubbles, even a carton of milk. They make up a massive economy of negotiated commodities. Yet, whether it is a bicycle or a tiny bottle of bubbles, the resolution process we just discussed remains identical every single time. The item changes, sure, but the diplomatic formula definitely does not.
To help enforce this formula, the text introduces a truly fascinating archetype, the wise little voice or the clever young friend. When two kids are fighting with all their might over a ball or a slide, this mediator steps in. This third-party voice of reason is completely crucial here. It models for the viewer exactly how to de-escalate intense playground disputes by advocating for taking turns and reminding everyone that playing together is always the recommended choice. Okay, Section 4, Navigating the Everyday World. Sensory exploration in the car. Shifting away from social conflict and moving into environmental exploration, we are now looking at the pure sensory overload of what adults would consider a completely mundane trip through town in a car. For a toddler, a car ride isn't just basic transportation. It is an absolute explosion of cause and effect. The text carefully details the specific environmental observations the baby makes. You've got the wheels going round and round, the horn going beep, 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 the mirrors opening and closing. Even the baby's own actions, crying, wah, or waving, bye-bye, are presented as vital components of this chaotic mechanical symphony. The material is actively teaching the child how physical objects operate and interact in real three-dimensional space.
And the repetition of the phrase all through the whole town is vital here too. We can really frame this car ride as a powerful metaphor for the child's rapidly expanding worldview. They are moving out of the safety of the backyard where they get their boo-boos, past the playground where they negotiate for toys, and they are now observing the much larger interconnected community.
Which brings us to Section 5, the ultimate preschool takeaway, the core mantras of early development. This is where we tie all these disparate threads, the physical, the emotional, the social, and the exploratory, right into the ultimate analysis of this developmental survival guide. If there is one overarching thesis statement to this entire source text, it's for sure this climactic lyric, sharing and caring is the way it should be. This single line binds all the foundational lessons we've talked about together. Caring for the physical boo-boos, caring for the sick, and sharing those highly prized toys on the playground. It is the absolute moral center and behavioral goal that the text desperately wants to imprint on its young audience.
But it really leaves us asking a much bigger question. Why the intense repetition? Seriously, why loop the exact same diplomatic negotiations, the same loud car noises, and the same injury responses over and over again? What is the ultimate goal of structuring these lessons in this exact, rigid way?
Well, the crucial point is this. In an early world defined by complete chaos, unfamiliar illnesses, unexpected scraped knees, and frustrating resource battles, predictability creates security, and security creates joy. This source material isn't just mindless background musical entertainment. It's a vital, highly structured behavioral blueprint that gives children a predictable script for navigating life's absolute earliest crises. Which leaves us with a final, kind of fascinating question to consider. When we strip away all the complex language of the corporate boardroom or the political stage, how much of our adult conflict resolution is really just a slightly more complex version of fighting over a toy plane in the park? Have we actually evolved past the wise little voice telling us to just take turns? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you find yourself in a heated negotiation. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.